welcome to part one of my tutorial series using Synty Studios assets in Unreal Engine 4. This tutorial series will cover a lot of different aspects of level design and just putting your level together in a nice manner overall with these assets as well. So let's go and get started. So the first point I guess I'm going to cover is foliage. I am probably going to do this tutorial in certain points, so if at any point you want to go to the next point throughout this video, I'll also mark timestamps down in the bottom of this YouTube video as well. But basically, yeah, I want to cover foliage first. The real big thing with foliage is you don't want to overdo it. Um, Foliage can be a very handy thing, especially in Unreal Engine, since you do have that foliage tool at hand. Up in the top left corner here, you do have the foliage tool, um, and you can put any static mesh in it, as some of you may already know. More advanced users will know this, and just users who use Unreal Engine a lot, all in general, will know that you can put just about any static mesh in here and have it work as foliage. Um, but the real takeaway here is, yeah, don't overdo it. As you can see here, when I put my foliage down, um, or when I did at least here in this instance, I will just kind of show off what I've done here. Um, I put patches here and there, and I'm doing this according to my environment. You want to do this so that it matches obviously your environment, and the other thing is you want to do it in a manner that's, like I said, again, not overdoing it. You do want to, like I said, the key thing here is, though, to not overdo it is to match it to your environment. Um, Another thing is going to be adding LOD to your meshes, which you can do. I'll quickly go over that. Actually, no, yeah, I'll just select this here. Um, you can just click on a mesh like that. A simple thing to do if you do not have um, an LOD map is to add one. Um, or you can do the foliage LOD group and stuff like that, and just so on. I'm not going to go over all of this yet in this tutorial. I will go in LODs actually in a different part of this tutorial, or maybe later on down the road. But basically, percentage of triangles is another thing you can mess with to decrease game lag if you have too much for your machine, or so on and so forth. Yeah, so a lot of this is straightforward, but then again, it's something that a lot of people just have time, or have not have time, have struggles with kind of contemplating and kind of understanding um, more of, and just need a little help there here and there. So this is not the most advanced of my tutorials that I'm going to be covering with this series, but yeah, it's going to be something that should be helpful to most of you. Just putting that out there. But foliage, carry on with foliage. Yeah, you're gonna want to match this pretty well with your environment. Obviously, it's pretty straightforward stuff. But then again, it's like um, helpers that should help most of you, no matter what. Um, and then another thing, you're gonna want to add a lot of, you know, variety here and there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna want to add that variety there. For example, when you do your foliage, here's another thing. When you do your foliage, this is huge. Adding size variance by selecting your foliage. So say like I want these 3 cactuses to be between 0.5 and 1. That would add a lot of variety. as you can see. Not there, I mean, well. So if I do like, oh, just go back. There we go. So if I add these three cactuses here, you can see a lot of the cactus variety there and mixed within these stupid trees I had still activated, but yeah, it's a huge deal to add size variety. You have all these settings here at hand. Um, Cull distance, which I don't usually mess with a whole lot. Um, and then, you're going to want to add block all to, your trees and everything. This is a huge deal here. For those of you who are not familiar with the foliage tool, um, when you select things like trees, you want to add block all to that, and that will give it collision, obviously, and make it more, believable, I guess. So moving on. So the next point I want to cover here is basically level real-time transforms and movement in certain static objects, like for example, bow bobbing, um, windmill spinning, and so on and so forth. A lot of this is going to bring your scene completely to life, most obviously, and at the same time, just make it that much more believable to the player or viewer or whatever. So the way I like to do this, a lot of people don't do it this way, but I like to do it this way a lot because of the amount of control you get from it. But I like to do it through level sequencers. You can go ahead and make a level sequencer in your scene by clicking on the cinematics tab up on um, the top bar here, and adding a level sequence, saving your level sequence to a location of your choice, and should be set. So I just called for a boat bobbing aspect of my scene. I just go ahead and or I just went ahead and made a sequence in my sequences folder called boat bobbing underscore ls. Now the way sequences work for things like this, you can, if you've never used a sequence before, a level sequence, you can go ahead and open that up, find it in your scene, open it up, and you'll see this in your details panel, by the way. For the boat bobbing, things like boat bobbing, I'm just going to provide this as a quick example. Obviously, I checked autoplay because I want this to play at the start of the level. Then again, I also want loop. So I'll check or select the loop indefinitely option there. Another thing is, the way you go about this, I'm just going to show this as a quick example. So I start at a transform. I'm just going to focus on the z-axis here at -130. I'll simply go over as I go to about 25 on the sequence marker, goes to about -25. Go over to the 50 marker, whatever, goes back to -130. So it's just a simple, really small bob. And you kind of see this as I move this back and forth. You can kind of see it just bobbing very slightly. And this is the kind of stuff you want. This is kind of the stuff you want as a level designer. You don't want to overdo things like that at all, especially overdoing things like that. Foliage isn't that's a big thing as well, but overdoing things like this can really mess up your scene a lot more, to be honest. Um, so make sure you add not too slight changes, but also add pretty balanced changes at the same time to your scene. So the last part of this tutorial, not this whole tutorial, but the last part of this episode of my tutorial series here, we're going to cover props, just props in general, simple stuff. We're going to cover placing props and just simple stuff like that. I'm going to go over this first. I'm going to show you guys what I've set up just right here. Um, Basically, we have, skeleton, parrot, grave, fruit basket, crates, and then we got a fire. Um, so why do I show this, you may ask? You know, Not only is it a good example of props I placed in the scene so far that I already have, but I want to try to show how certain props can tell a story in a scene. For example, if you intend that to be so, to be honest, that is. Um, Most people are going to want this because you want to be able to tell something or show something that actually means a lot to your scene. Telling a story behind certain props even can mean a lot. So the reason I bring that up is because it just makes a significant difference to your scene. Whether your scene is actually a game, whether it's for just visual viewing, I don't know. It still makes a big difference, and it always will. Um, so adding that kind of believability, storytelling, so on to your scene with props could be a huge deal. Um, Especially the particle effects of certain things like the fire. I added fire and smoke to make sure, we got all the full deal there. Um, so it adds a lot of good believability there. Um, or not just believability, but just detail um, to your scene. And adding things like physics to your fruit in your fruit baskets. If I simulate physics on these, that also makes a huge deal. Um, so long story short, having a story behind your props, having a purpose behind each and every prop you put down in your scene is a massive deal. And it really, really will bring your scene to life. Um, Especially things like um, surrounding larger buildings or larger structures. Like this isn't the largest of the structures I have in this scene, quite obviously, but water tower, we got some gold bars. We got a map in a crate in a bullhorn or whatever the fuck. So yeah, adding that around your scene means a lot and may seem obvious. I know, but it's just it's just something that people need to realize more often, I think, and it's just something that some people overlook. So that's why I'm making this tutorial series, not only for that, but for more advanced things in the future. I'm not going to sit around and beat around the bush for forever with just basic things. I'm going to go beyond, above and beyond with this, and hopefully do more advanced stuff in the future as well. So, with that being said, this was just a really basic overview of the props, um, detailing and putting down whatever the fuck for your scene. But in the future, of course, it'll be a lot more detailed. Um, Hopefully, you guys were able to understand most of what I was saying with this. I mean, may not be the. I mean, most of it's pretty straightforward, but I just hope I helped you guys. And with that being said, thanks for watching and peace out, guys. Also, uh, let me know what you guys want to see in the next episode of this tutorial series. I'm going to be covering a lot of different things, um, commenting what you guys think, I should do next always helps a shit ton. So definitely go ahead and do that. And yeah, again, till next time, peace out.